Hello. So every single day, hundreds of articles are published about electric vehicle industries. Some are positive, discussing new technology. Some are negative, highlighting their supply chain issues. Some are neutral. So for a major company, this flood of information may act as both a huge opportunity or a massive risk. So there's need a system that automatically navigate these jars. So the system which not only fetch the news or tell us whether it is good or bad, but also tell us why it is bad or why it is good. So in today's video we will walk through the same project which does exactly same. I have built a end-to-end data engineer project which will fetch the news, clean it, analyze it using AI, and then display the analysis on the dashboard. So let's start. So this is our main Python code which we will use to call the API. So there are some library which we have import logging, request JSON. Logging it is used to write message so that it will help us to debug like through the log Azure function app log stream, and there's a request so that we can call the HTTP API calls and UUID, so that we can create the random user ID, regular expression, datetime to handle datetime, Azure function, so that we can treat our code as a for the Azure function app. Now this is the base URL for our Gemini based API, and now this is function pass data, create session, pass data, create session, run conversation, extract news, and this is the main function. Okay, so this is our main function which is the entry point of this Python code. So we have wrapped this code in the try catch block so that we can catch any unexpected error and log also. So here's the user ID. We have used this UUID to create the random user ID, so there will be some user ID for each pipeline run, and there's a session response. So we have used a create session function. Okay, create session. So there are mainly two functions which is responsible to communicate with the API. First is a create session and second one is a run conversation. So first we will create the session on the server side, and then after creating session we will fetch the latest news through the API. So here the topic for which we will fetch the latest news will be electric vehicles. Basically it will fetch the news articles, latest Google news articles, and return as a summary of the news article as a response. So these two functions will be responsible. First is a create session. So through this function a session will be created to interact with the API. So here's a URL, headers, payload, as we want the data in JSON, these all have mentioned, and there is a run conversation. So we will use this session ID which we have created to run the conversation, and we will provide the message latest news on electric vehicles. Okay, so create session, we will provide this user ID which we have created while for the creation of session. Then we will get the session response. Then session response, we will get the session ID from the session response. For that we have applied .get ID to get the ID from the session response. And now if we check if the session ID is not empty, and then we have run this function run conversation and provide the session ID and user ID both to this run conversation function. So okay, let's see run conversation function. Okay, to fetch the ultimately to fetch the latest news article about the electric vehicles. Okay, now after that we will use this extract news content, and we will apply the output of this run conversation to this function. So basically first this function create a session to interact with the API, this run conversation. Through this run conversation function, we are telling the API that we want the latest news article on electric vehicle. It will give the response, but as a raw response, means it will contain some messy data. So we will use this function extract news content to do some transformation on the fetched news article. So this is the function extract news content. Okay, so as the API may return some conversational data before and after the JSON data, so through this code we make sure that we don't want this conversation data. That's why we have applied this JSON start index should be like this, find and JSON and index should be like this, and string is like start index and end index +1. And also we make sure that as a API may contain some broken JSON. So we have fixed some this broken JSON as there's missing of commas between the two JSON. That's why we have used this regular expression to fix this, to apply this comma between two JSON. So the main function of this extract news content is to fix the broken JSON, to ignore any conversational data before and after this JSON response, because we only bother about the latest news article which are wrapped in the JSON, which are in the format of the JSON data. Anything before and after, any conversational information, we will ignore all this. Now after use this function, now we will check if news data is not empty, and if there is a news in the news data, then we will apply the for loop for every article in the news, and here we will fix the date. As we have observed, there is some messy date present in the news article, like there is some missing date, or there is some 6 hour ago or 4 month ago, but we want the date in the same format for overall data. So we will fix it. So we will fix it through the parse data function. Okay, in parse data function, if there is missing date, then we will fetch the latest date and time and then fill that value through this latest date and time. And if the date and time in the format of 6 hour ago and 10 hour ago, then we will use the time delta function. It will extract the exact value for this time delta function, and then it will subtract from the current date and time to extract the exact date timestamp. So here, if first we will split the function, then through the use of regular expression, we extract this this part 1 0 dot lower, and then we compare if unit is h, d and m, then we apply this time delta accordingly, and then through this we fetch the latest exact date timestamp. So this function is only responsible to fix the messy date time. Okay, now after that we will return the HTTP response in the JSON format with the status code 200, and if any error occur, then we will return the status code 500 accordingly. So this is our main Python code which is responsible to fetch the latest news article about electric vehicle, and after that we have applied some transformation, some minor transformation, like to fix the broken JSON or to ignore the any conversational text before and after the JSON data, and also to fix this messy date time and to fill the missing value of date time. So it's clear now. So there's the another function in function.json. So it is basically the blueprint which will tell the Azure that please make or build any function in the function app, HTTP trigger function in the function app. So like here's a two part, script file and binding. Script file is init.py, which is our main Python code. So it tells the Azure that this is the main Python code which we have to run. And there's a binding, there's a inside binding and outside binding that define like auth label is function. That means to run this function one must know the secret key in their URL, and the HTTP type is HTTP trigger, direction is in, name is REQ, means whatever we get as a request we named as REQ. So this is the basic parameter which we have defined, like direction or type, etc. And there's a host.json. It is like the it tells Azure that the runtime version should be 2.0. It basically just tell, there's nothing more. It tells the runtime function should be 2.0. As Azure may try to run on the old version, so it is like to make sure. So when we run this, first we will write this all code in the VS Code, and all this is under the run new agent script. So we can deploy this into your function app by many ways. Like first one is we can download the Azure extension, and then after that we will click this, and after a few minutes the resources will be available, and then after right clicking we can directly deploy this code to our function app. And there's other method also, like we can zip all the code in a zip file and then directly deploy to the function app through the CMD. So there are many ways, you can choose any way and deploy all your code to the function app. After you deploy this code to the function app, then you may observe that we have created function app. Okay, whatever name you have given, you have created the function app, and the function app will be empty. Okay, let me show you. So like this, I have given the name my news agent runner. So this will be empty. But after you deploy your function app, then you will see there's a function will be appear, run new agent script, and this is the same which we have used here, run new agent script. So when you deploy this code, this function.json file will tell Azure to make a HTTP trigger function, run new agent script to run this Python code file. So it is like the blueprint, and you can observe that this function will be appear under your function app. Okay, so now we will go to your ADF. So from your resource group, when you have created, it will show under this, there's a new ADF, whatever name you have given, launch studio. Okay, so this is our ADF. So as I have already created this pipeline news which I have shown you. So this is the first activity, Azure function news. So this Azure function news will call the function app to fetch the latest news article about the electric vehicle. So you can simply create it like, I will show you. Okay, like go to your author tab, there's a pipeline news, you can create one new one like new pipeline, and if you search here like Azure function, you can easily drag and drop here this Azure function activity. Okay, inside this Azure function activity you have to fill some setting like Azure function linked service. I have already created like Azure function news linked service. If you're not, you can create a new one. You can see these are the parameters which I have filled while creating. I have filled the function app URL, function news. If you have not created, you can go to this new button, you can create it. you can function app URL. You have to fill your function app URL. Okay, let me show you. If we go your resource group, this one, and your function app. Okay, here you will find your function app URL. If you click this, so this is your function app URL. You will copy this and simply paste here. Okay, and function key you can find it like click here, run new agent script, which is your function, get function URL, and here's a key which you can copy and simply paste here. How many tabs I have opened? Okay, so you can simply paste here your function key, and then you will hit the create button, then your linked service will be created. So it is basically linking your function app to this Azure function activity. So okay, then you will drag the new activity like for each. We will want to apply this for each activity for every article which we fetch through this activity. Okay, so there are some ways like on success we want to run this activity, or on fail, or on completion, or on skip. So we want on success. Okay, so here for each loop will be run on the output of this Azure function activity. So we will fill here the item. We will fill like we want this Azure function 1. So this is the format like @activity to fetch the output of the previous activity. So this is @activity, Azure function is a previous activity dot output, and we want news from this. Okay, so it will be filled. Now inside this activity, now we will use 3 web activity so that we can extract the sentiment of the news article. Second activity is for to identify and determine the key noun, means like main key nouns, keywords like your company like Tesla or Ford or anything. What are the main keys which are in the latest news article. So for this we will search web activity, and we will use these 3 parallel web activity, one for the sentiment, second for the key items, and third for the key phrase. Key phrase is like the main topics of the latest article, like government grants or the battery supply chain, etc. Okay, after that we will use stored procedure activity. So this is stored procedure activity. Through this we will store our data into our SQL database. So for that you have to first create the table. We will create 3 tables. First for this simple news analysis, second one is key items, and third one is key phrase. I have already written the code for this and have created also. You can go there, like you have to go your Azure SQL database. When we go, then there's a query editor, then login, so basically these 3 tables will be in the form of star schema, like this news analysis table will be the fact table, and the other 2 will be the dimension table, article entities and article phrases. And also we will create the stored procedure there. So this first is a store procedure, insert article entities. So simply we are creating this, there's 2 column, article URL and entities, and we will simply insert these. And the second one is an article key phrases similarly, and third one is a news analysis. Similarly, in the news analysis you can see we have used a merge function, merge statement, and here you select article URL, sentiment and negative score as source. We have given the source name, and on the already stored data we have given this name target, and then we will compare on target.article URL equals to source.article URL. This source will be the newly fetched article, the data of the newly fetched article, and the target is the already present data. Then when we compare, if not matched, then we will insert this, and if matched, then we will ignore. Okay, so in this we will create these 3 table and these 3 stored procedure inside our SQL database. Okay, so we will simply write our query and we will hit the run button. Then the tables all stored procedure will be created, and after creation we can see that your table will be visible here: article entities, article key phrases, news analysis, stored procedure. There are 3 stored procedure: article entities, article key phrases, and insert news analysis. Okay, then we will join is on success, because we want on success the data will be stored on their respective tables through the use of the stored procedure. Like in the first web 1 activity, okay, we have to fill this URL. For this URL, you have to go your Azure language service. If we go your language service, so this is the main endpoint which we want, or you can go there resource management keys and endpoint. So all of these, it's for only the demo purpose. Otherwise you make sure that we should never share your keys, endpoints, etc., the sensitive data to the public. Okay, so URL will be the combination of 2 things. First one is a endpoint of your Azure language service. We have to use this Azure language service key point in the URL, because web 1 activity will apply the Azure language service to the fetched article news. And the second portion will be the exact address of the service which we want. So as I have already written here, this is our main URL, and this is the whole URL for the sentiment analysis. So this is the main URL for the sentiment. Text, we want apply analytics on the text version 3 sentiment, and similarly the text analytics v3.1 entities recognition general. And for the key phrase we want this. So this is basically it is like this is the address of your building, and this is the address of your exact room where we want to go. In this way you can understand. So this is the address of the exact service which you want from the Azure language service, and this is the endpoint of your language service. So you will copy and directly copy paste there. Make sure कि whatever be your key point, just add this one at the end of your URL. Similarly, just add this to the end of your URL, and like this for the key phrases. Okay, so when we paste here, after that method you have to select the method post, as we are triggering an action to perform. So we will use the post method in the body. Okay, so for the Azure language service, the data will be passed in the form of the document array, whether it is only one array or the more array, but we have to pass in a one document array. Okay, it can also process multiple array at once, but here we have only one article news. So we will, although we have only one article news, we have to put it in the document array. So the body will be like this one. We will we will use our description in this document, like this is the document and there is a ID. As there can be a multiple documents, so we have used the ID to identify the particular document, ID 123, language EN, as we are using the English, and text this is the main description on which the Azure language service will be applied. So here @item, so this is @item, as for each loop is applying on every article, so this is @item dot description. So for each article, the description will go through this document array, and through this document array Azure language service apply on our description to fetch the sentiment or the web entities or the key phrases. Okay, now in header we will use one header like this, OCP APM subscription key. We will use this to authorize or authenticate this service or our Azure language service. So for this key we will use this key. This is your Azure language service. In the resource management and then keys and endpoint, you will copy this key and paste there. So this is only for the security purpose, and in the same way you will apply the setting same to the web2 activity, URL, method and header, and also for the third activity. Now for the stored procedure, as you have already created the table and the stored procedure, the stored procedure is only responsible to store your data into that already created table. So in the stored procedure, go to the setting, linked service, there is Azure SQL database one. You can create the new one, like in Azure database we want to create, then we can fill all this information like your subscription, your database name, server name, authentication type, and your username and password, which we will get while creating the Azure SQL database. And this server name and database name you can easily see from your Azure SQL database. Like if we go to your SQL database, this is your database name and this is your server name. You can easily fill it. Okay, so after filling this, this is I have already created. I have filled the same SQL admin, authentication, database name, server name, and then stored procedure name. As you have already created a stored procedure, you will find the option to select here. Like first one is for the sentiment and the first one table is for news analysis. So then we will select the news analysis, then we will hit the import button, and when we hit, then these all column will be automatically displayed. We will just fill this value like @ the output of this dot article URL. I can show you in the already created pipeline. Like this article URL, we will just write the @item.url, @item as for each in the for each loop we are referring at the rate item, the dot URL for the negative score. So here's the at the rate activity wav1. So this is the output of the wav1 activity dot document, as we the output is in the form of the document, and then 0 is the first index, and this is the confidence score dot negative. As it return the confidence score negative, positive or neutral, so we want first for the negative score column negative, that's why we have used this one. Similarly for the neutral, so there's a document 0 dot confidence score and neutral. So as there is only one item, that's why we have used this 0, and output, as we are using the output of this wav1 activity, the previous one, and the confidence score after applying this Azure Web Service, it give us the confidence score, neutral, positive and negative. So that's why for that column we have selected the neutral one, positive one, and published at the rate item dot date, sentiment, and the title. In title we have used to replace that's because in the title there may be chance that there can be some codes in the title, so to handle that code we have used this replace one to the single quote to double quote, because single quote will not work for the ADF, but the double quote may work. It's not may work, will work, as single quote is like ADF will assume the single quote. It's like this is the only output we want, and it will not correctly analyze this the whole string. That's why we have used a double quote in place of single quote inside this SQL stored procedure. Okay, so in this way you can format this all 6 activity, wav1, wav entities, wav key phrases, and this all stored procedure. All will be same like in second one stored procedure. You will select second one stored procedure, you will select your second stored procedure like article key phrases, for third article key entities, for third article key phrases. For wav2 everything will be same, only the URL will be different, because we want different service from the Azure language service. As I have already said that you have to only apply this one for the sentiment at the end of your key point, and this one for to find the wav entities, and this one to find the key phrases at the end of the your URL endpoint of the Azure language service. Then it will work as a URL. So okay, after setting this we can easily run our ADF pipeline. Just we have to just hit the debug button, and then pipeline will be triggered. We can also apply some trigger to schedule this pipeline. We will apply this also. Okay, it is running. First Azure function use is in progress. Azure function use, it is calling the function app. Function app is running the init Python code file to fetch the latest news article about electric vehicles. Okay, Azure function use is completed. For each one is running. There's some for some article this is finishing. For each one is continued in progress. Okay, it succeeded. Now if we go to your query editor, and if we select star from, if we see our main news analysis table, what are the content, okay, then you will find there's some value in Azure SQL table. There's article URL, there's a title, article electric vehicles, there's a publish date, sentiment, neutral, positive score, negative score, neutral score. So this is the content of the table news analysis. Same way we can see in for the article key phrases table or article entities. There's an article entities table, ID, article URL, entity text, entity type. So like electric vehicle, the Hindu, article on, coverage on, technology, solid, these are the main entity text about which are mentioned in the latest news article. And if we see the key phrases, so these are the key phrases: ultra fast charger, electric car, range anxiety. These are the main topic which are mentioned in the latest news article. Okay, so what we have done now, we have we have configured this Azure function activity. We have applied this for each article, for each activity for every article. We and then apply the web activity to enrich the data by extracting the sentiment and entities and the phrases, and we store this enriched data in our SQL database through this stored procedure activity. Now we will use this Metabase to build the interactive dashboard. As I have already created one, you can just go to your Google and just search Metabase. Okay, Metabase, hit the first button, first link. Then there's two options: try Metabase cloud free and deploy Metabase open source. We will go through the open source. So there's a command, Docker command. You have to just copy this command and paste in your CMD, and then this Docker image will automatically pull this image and run this container. And after run, we can see this the container is in running state. If we click on this, the Metabase will be open. Now if you are first time creating or opening this Metabase, then you have to configure some setting to integrate or to connect this Metabase with your Azure. You have to simply fill your SQL server name or password, username, password, and the SQL database name, like this basic values. After the filling this basic field, then your dashboard will be available. Now you can create the new dashboard by hit this plus new button, then the dashboard. You can give any name to your dashboard, whatever you want. And after creating, you can add any chart, like on that like if you want to first apply on the news analysis table, then news analysis, add filter to narrow, like we want the sentiment, we want the negative, add filter, and we want to visualize only this. So this is the negative articles. Now if we go to the visualization and if we go to the bar, sentiments, so we can easily visualize in this way what are the negative sentiments in our article. As I have already created one, I will show you this. This is the news analysis I have created in the same way. So there is a news article through which I have created this pie chart. We can easily visualize what are the neutral articles, the positive, negative, and the mixed. There are a total 71 articles in which the positive articles are 10. These are the top 10 organizations for which are mentioned in the latest news articles. And These are the sentiments by organization. These are the top key phrases in the latest news article. So in this way, we can build an interactive dashboard through the use of Metabase, so that we can easily visualize and analyze our latest news article about any topic like electric vehicle. Now we can schedule our ADF on a particular time. Okay, this is our pipeline news. We will go here, add trigger, new or added. Okay, I have already created this one, but you can create the new one. Trigger 1, schedule started. This trigger will be start from this time zone and minute, like on which interval you want to run this. Like I want to run this every day, once in a day, an hour. Like I want to run at 6 a.m. after 6 hours for every day. Then if we hit the OK button, then it will be scheduled to run every 6 a.m. every day. So in this way we can also schedule our ADF to run. This is a run daily 6 a.m. which I have already set. So through which it will run this whole pipeline, this whole ADF pipeline daily at 6 a.m. So this is the main whole project. We have scheduled the ADF trigger, and there's a ADF pipeline. We have created the Azure function activity. We have used the for each activity to process each articles, and then there's a web activity. There are 3 web activity for the sentiments. Second one is for the key entities. Third one is for the key phrases. And in parallel, we also use the 3 stored procedure to store all this enriched data into your SQL database. There's Azure AI language, as every web activity called the Azure AI language. There's external API, news API, which we are using, used by this Azure function activity to fetch and to fetch the latest news about the electric vehicle. After that, finally all the data will write to the Azure SQL database, and then we have connected this Metabase business intelligence tool to build our interactive dashboard. So in this way, this is our whole project. Thank you.